But those that reject a worldwide flood, they'll challenge us. They'll say, well, if a global flood occurred, there should be a distinct, widespread layer of sediment across the planet. But then they assert that no such layer exists. Is that a straw man or?
Yes, straw man right away, because you'd expect the flood sediment to deposit over a pretty wide area, but not globally. And a lot of sedimentary layers are laid down over continents, like the Tepete sandstone over half the continent of North America, and other formations like the Red Wall Formation in Grand Canyon. You can trace that limestone up over much of western U.S. And other layers, which you can go to Grand Canyon that's a good road cut, quote unquote, that shows the layers, which you can show extend over much of the region. Like the Morrison Formation covers much of western United States, Rocky Mountain areas, and the High Plains. Same with the Pierre Shale. So these are big. These things are big. And if we use uniformitarianism, even in a hurricane, they shouldn't be able to explain, even though sure they try, huge deposits over maybe a million square kilometers and maybe 1,000 meters or more thick. I mean, these defy uniformitarianism, but this is typical of the sedimentary rocks on the earth.
We spend a lot of time answering challenges, which I think is important, Mike, because I love to refute evolution in an old earth, and it's pretty easy to do with a lot of these points, but we also want to model build. We also want to answer challenges, which oftentimes is more fun in a way. And so do you find that a lot of the points like you're making that just defy uniformitarian processes, do you think these are challenges that largely go unaddressed by those in the secular world?
Yes, I do. Such huge formations are practically ignored, the size of them. And speaking of it, I'm in with other creation scientists in what's called the Flood Sediment Research Projects, which we are determining what the sediments, thicknesses, and areas, and trying to figure out where it came from, how it's transported, how it's deposited in the flood. So anyway, that's a research project we've been doing for about 5 years. We got some fantastic data out. I don't know if you've I think I've given one talk on that here, haven't I?
Yeah, I think you titled that one Incredible Advancements in the Flood, something like that. I think that might have, or that could have been a different
one. Right. Yeah. I can't remember exactly what I've talked about on your show.
You've done a lot.
But we got new information, and we're getting new information all the time.
Yeah, that's great. I love it. So, okay, here, as always, Mike, appreciate the answers. When did granite batholiths form? So I guess a technical definition of that would be a large mass of igneous rock made of granite that forms deep within the Earth's crust. So I guess basically, when did those form according to the creation model, Mike?
Well, us creationists think that the granites of the upper crust were created rocks, upper crust being created. It's possible some of these huge granite batholiths were those created rocks being pushed up in a generally solid or a semi-plastic state. Some creationists believe that granite formed during the flood, solidified rapidly, and was either eroded down to that level or pushed up. So we say that, they formed during the flood. The batholiths themselves, the granite itself, maybe pre-flood or formed during the flood. So there's different ideas on that, but in general, the batholiths themselves are the big upward intrusions. They would be from the flood as the mountains rose. A lot of these mountains are granitic mountains, and they pushed up during the recessional stage of the flood.
The granites that we might say are created, Mike, do those in the conventional camp, do they have good explanations for the origin of those granites?
No, they try to do it by subduction. Generally, the subduction mechanism, which I think has some problems, generally forms lava. Island arc stuff is different types of lavas, but not plutonic igneous rocks like granites and all the different names for granite type rocks. There's all kinds of granite, diorite, quartz monzonite, all kinds of names for them. So yeah, I haven't really read a lot in that research, but I've done enough to know that they have problems accounting for all that granite. But they do it by subduction somehow, and I don't know how, because like I said, subduction supposedly forms island arcs, which are volcanic basalts, andesites, especially andesites, dacite. So yeah, I think they have problems with the formation of the upper crust rocks.
Therefore, would that be good supporting evidence for our model that these upper rock granites, is that what you're saying, were created since they lack good explanations for their origin?
Yeah, if it's difficult to form it naturally, well, God created the earth, and so he would create continents, and so by definition, the granites of the upper crustal rocks that form the continents would be creation week rocks.
Well said. Yeah, that's good. It's kind of like if we were to go into DNA, right? They lack a good explanation for the origin of DNA and all of its complexity. And so we would say your lack of an explanation is good supporting evidence that DNA was created. And these granites, there's good evidence they were created, which would make sense. We understand if creation's true, then there'd have to be created aspects to it.